Neill is a very fast-moving director. Sometimes we'll do a setup and it's like, okay, we got that in one take, moving on.
The realism element that Neill brings, you almost feel you're in the car with them.
Neill has constantly talked about authenticity, and we never really wavered from that.
I want the LMP2s breaking the sound barrier. What can you do to make that happen?
Okay, guys, helmets on, please. Stand by to shoot.
Neill Blomkamp is a wonderful director. He's got such a great creative vision. He wanted to make it really practical and shot like in real life. He wanted to use drones and get cameras in places you've never seen before in racing. And he just absolutely delivered on it.
There's a lot of different approaches to movies like this, especially in the 21st century. The temptation is to go all digital. The cars could be animated. You could film the tracks as background plates and do digital cars. But in this case, everything is real.
It's always a treat for an audience when something feels more real. Shooting this movie without green screens, without projectors, I think it gives a more honest performance.
It's very practical. That's what I got from Neill when I met him, to make it as real as possible.
How can the motion of high-speed racing be conveyed to the audience in a way that feels like you're moving, or that it's visceral, or that it's experiential? Most of that comes down to photography style choices.
When he actually comes around, go from your rearview mirror to the real car.
Anybody can turn the TV and see a race happening. And so visually, you have to bring something else that you do not see on TV. And that is the challenge.
FPV drones, they're used extensively in real-life racing, which is kind of where the inspiration came from. But they haven't really been used in a racing film.
The use of drone, that was definitely Neill's idea. The FPV drone, they can keep up with the cars. What was important for Neill was the car are going to go full speed, real speed.
Our FPV drones kind of give us the most vibrant, in the middle of the action point of view. And then there's this solitary feeling of just becoming one with the car and being in this state of flow in the middle of driving.
Time slows down, feels like nothing and everything at the same time.
There's a smoothness and a certain elegance to it, and to the angle of what's happening when everything goes your way.
Whenever we did that, the feeling was to go, instead of from FPV drones, which are highly aggressive, to cinematic drones, which are much more beautiful and restrained. And then for the photography on the actors to be similar. Instead of handheld in the cockpit with them, it would be usually lock-offs on the hood of the car and very focused directly onto the actor and just trying to enter that state. This may actually be my favorite photography style. A very low-slung camera on a remote head at the front of a high-speed pursuit vehicle. It's basically a camera car that's attacking the picture cars, matching their speed, and you have a remote head moving the camera. We would always place it very strategically, and sometimes we would have two cameras, one at the front, one at the back. And so you'd come up behind your race cars, or you'd be leading your race cars. But because of the fact that it's only a few inches off the ground, the speed is conveyed quite well, which is obviously always the goal.
Hey, that was actually pretty great.
If you hit pause on the film and you look at the frame, it's to never have a sense that any of the frames that you're seeing are synthetic. So they're not overly lit. They're not lit in an overly saturated or fake way. Basically, everything is derived from reality. Production design is real. The photography style is real. The color choices are real. And the way that I always described it was, if you were to make a documentary about racing and all of these elements and these pieces were there, try to shoot those real-life pieces in the most beautiful way. So it's okay to shoot into the light, it's okay to use very shallow focal depth, it's okay to use things that make it beautiful, but you can't break the parameters of reality by bringing gelled fake lights in or curating it too much.
I don't feel like being in 1 degree Celsius dealing with the elements. We've been doing this for weeks. We have day photography that's cold, we have night photography with synthetic rain. It's hard to do this stuff, but the thing that you get from that is a real, undeniable sense of speed. Hopefully, it'll feel like high-speed, legit driving, because it is.
You ready to bring this home? Let's go.
This is definitely the most controlled film that I've done. Very precise shots. There is handheld photography, but it feels cinematic. Hopefully the reality is there.
We in? Yes! Come on, punch it, come on!
The work with David and Archie has just been a pleasure.
I really enjoyed the whole ride. We created something special.
It's been fun to get inside the physicality and the mindset of these drivers because it's a world completely detached from my own.
I feel pretty lucky with how the cast ended up on this film. Not only each individual person, but also the chemistry and the way that they work together.
Let's go show the world.
Somewhere out there's a kid who's faster than all these arseholes. They've just never gotten the chance to show the world what they're capable of. I'm gonna find him.
Orlando is a man. He's always bringing wonderful energy to set, and I'm learning a lot being around him.
Orlando Bloom is performing a version of himself that I feel like is unusual compared to what audiences expect from him.
Now is your chance to turn dreams into reality. Let's go!
Orlando's role is that go-getting marketeer who wants to be successful no matter the cost, and he does it so well.
It's a really unique story that I wasn't aware of. This is almost too good to be true. You've got the excitement of the world of racing, but with a very human, grounded story at the center of it. The idea of a kid who came out of nowhere, dreamed big enough, and came through with it. Then he's kind of the creator of this dream and this vision. We've got to prove to them, we've got to prove to everyone that we belong. His main focus and drive is to make sure that this doesn't fail. So it's a lot of fun to have that kind of engine running whilst the cars are all on the track.
Thank you so much. I think we've had more than enough questions for now. This is it. Last turn and final straight. Drop the hammer.
David Harbour is incredible as this hardened ex-race car driver.
I'm gonna push you harder than you have ever been pushed, and I'm gonna prove that you don't have what it takes.
He brings all of the gruff energy.
Jesus Christ.
But his own weight of responsibility is felt present in terms of his relationship to Jan.
Good news. No one thinks we can do this, so low expectations. You got this.
Jack's story is an underdog story as well. He's someone who's suffered from tremendous trauma, but who still clearly loves this sport. He has a real opportunity to teach this one particular kid. Together, they both grow and achieve greatness. I didn't know how much we were going to be working with actual cars, actual drivers, actual tracks. It all plays into that intensity of the experience. We want you to feel that rush of this incredibly dangerous, exciting sport, and also feel the power of this very emotional story of this young kid.
I know you're scared. I've been scared. Whether you like it or not, you are in this race.
Archie is so awesome to work with and such a good actor. I think he has an incredibly bright future ahead of him.
He's strong, yet sensitive.
Danny, I didn't come here to finish.
Soulful, super intuitive.
Let me drive it my way.
Very emotionally in touch with the other performers.
Archie, there's something so natural about him, and I can see that he's full of talent.
You did this. I'm so proud of you. I did this for you. I'm proud of you.
He's a real thinker and very generous, heart on the sleeve. He was a real joy to work with.
Archie's got so much charisma and it just comes off the screen so well. The dynamics between him and David and Orlando are just absolutely perfect. Those characters are so different. They bump up against each other, but they're all trying to have the same goal.
I didn't actually know how to drive before doing this project.
Drop the clutch. I thought you could drive.
So I have to give a shout out to Neill, my driving instructor, who by some miracle got me passed. I passed first time.
Yes! FIA license, baby! You got it!
I instructed David Perel, started giving me lessons because I had to be actually good at the game.
You need to practice now.
When we shoot those scenes in the gaming cafes, we're playing the game for real and I actually had to win against a difficult AI.
Let's go.
We did all these big emotional beats of the story, and I thought, okay, great, here comes the easy stuff of being in the car, now comes the fun. I couldn't have been more wrong. Being in the car is one of the most difficult things I've ever done in my life. It is so hot, it is so claustrophobic, it is so intense in there, and you have to make all these split-second decisions under those circumstances.
Not easy with a joystick, isn't it? Woo.
Okay, keep it together out there, all right?
It just gave me so much respect for the drivers. This film is made up of so many incredible young actors from all over the world to the top of their game and bringing their fan bases with them. We all have had very different paths and have all found ourselves in this film. Let's be immortal.
All right. I'm Jan Mardenborough, and I'm a racing driver.
When I was first handed the script, I didn't understand how you could make a film about Gran Turismo. I couldn't believe it was actually based on the true life story of Jan Mardenborough.
All I wanted to do is be a racer.
Go, go, go!
It's an exciting story, full stop. It's an exciting story for people of color, and it's exciting for sim drivers, the racing community. It just is a story that is compelling and exciting on so many levels.
This is so cool. We were talking about the film years ago, where I was happy, okay, now I will let the creatives and the people in this industry, you know, take hold of it and create something beautiful.
It was a story that I had never heard of, so I was unbelievably taken aback when I was sent the material.
Jan was playing Gran Turismo in his bedroom in his parents' house, and Darren Cox at Nissan came up with this idea of, let's try to find the top Gran Turismo players on Earth and see if they can actually compete at a professional race car level.
How could a video game teach someone how to actually drive a real race car? And yet it turns out now, 10 years, 12 years later, many professional race car drivers are training in racing simulators to get that extra edge and to hone their craft. The truth is so much better than any fiction you could make up.
I just turned 19, and I was in a very dark, sad place, just dropped out of university. Didn't know what I wanted to do with my life at that point, but then there was an option for the academy in January or February 2011. And I thought, okay, I'd enter it just to see how far I can go. That was it. It wasn't to see how I can win, it was just to see how far I can go in the competition.
Come on!
Jan certainly is an underdog. I mean, he's a nerd sitting on a couch playing a video game who winds up becoming one of the greatest athletic race car drivers of all time.
Okay, life changed.
When I used to say, yeah, I practice on Gran Turismo, people would quite literally laugh at me. It was only until like 2 years ago where it became, oh, you can use a simulator. And Jan proved that you could do it.
The first time Jan ever drove a real car was to drive to GT Academy. So he got his driver's license and then he drove to GT Academy and then learned how to drive proper cars and learned about apexes and exiting corners.
Driving a GTR for the first time, and man, I was hooked. This is the best thing in the world. And I'm looking at the speedo going down, like I'm doing 160. It's the fastest I've ever gone. Like, oh wow, this is insane.
The story, in its essence, is about a young person achieving their dreams. And those stories were never told growing up with faces that looked like me. And so I was unbelievably compelled to tell the story. Let's be immortal.
My interest about race cars came to being when I was like 8. These friends of my parents had a PlayStation 1 and Gran Turismo. After primary school, I'd always go over their house just to play the game. And they got so fed up of me coming over all the time, they gave the PlayStation and Gran Turismo to my parents and said, look, your son can have it. I didn't have the vision that it could lead to where I am now. Once I had the comprehension of what a job was, that was all I ever wanted to do. My dad always used to say, you know, do something which gives you purpose and passion in life as a job. And then one thing led to another. I don't believe in coincidences. You make your luck, and I'm very fortunate. I have a very clear vision of what I wanted to do with my life if the opportunity came up.
Jan effectively won his graduating class of GT Academy and then was assigned to Nissan Racing.
Welcome to Team Nissan.
He raced in several categories.
That was one of the best days of my life.
FIA, GT3, which is what our movie shows. Those events are all true.
Jan was racing in the highest level in Japan, in one of the most elite racing championships that we all dream of driving. And he was competing and challenging for wins. And he came from a video game. You can just imagine how crazy that story is, and it's a true story.
GT Academy did a lot to encourage people within the motorsport industry to take simulators and preparation more seriously. We proved that, yes, you can take someone who's done zero and let them have experience on a sim through Gran Turismo and put them in a racing car, and they can actually be competitive and win races.
Good luck.
With hard work and dedication, you can make your dreams come true. Jan is the most incredible example of that.
It's been amazing. It's been a time in my life which I look back fondly on.
I think all of us who are making this movie really relate to Jan Mardenborough. He perseveres and he achieves a degree of immortality.
I'm living my childhood dream. I'm blessed to have such a story which hopefully can inspire other people to do something which gives them the same feelings that I have for my sport. You only get one life. I've been busy being a stuntman.
We pulled off a number of stunts, crashes, all different kinds of really difficult racing maneuvers, and it was all done elegantly, seamlessly, and safely.
We're not faking anything, like nothing's green screen. We're in the cars the entire time going at racing speeds.
Whoa!
Steve Kelso, our stunt coordinator, pulled off an unbelievably difficult job. We have, at any one point in time, as many as 20 plus stunt drivers, racing cars. Could have been extremely dangerous. We did it safely. We did it at high speed.
We have to put so much trust in the stunt drivers, which luckily we're working with the most unbelievable team, but it just is scary and daunting.
We're in the cars. We're doing those pit tire changes and gassing up the cars in real time with other drivers going around the track. I'm really in a helicopter flying like 30 feet above race cars with the rotor blades like swinging.
Looking good on the straight there.
These cars are going full track speed, and you had this stunt helicopter closer to the ground, getting to these cars and banking around corners. And then you've got the drones in there as well, going between the cars. It was phenomenal.
The caliber of stunt drivers that we've been able to assemble for this movie has been astounding. We have real race car drivers that are on the race circuit, drivers that have been in the business for 40 plus years.
An industry term isn't just stunt driving, it's also precision driving. Being able to track with the same speed of the camera, knowing that you're in shot or just sneaking out of shot. Hitting certain markers on the racetrack at speed. They have to drive badly sometimes. That is not easy when you know how to drive. You can't help yourself but try and drive well. So they have to have different disciplines. The synchronization and the timing that they have to do through the corners as a choreography at speed is impressive.
Let's keep up the good work, which everybody has really done. I'm really happy and excited about the film I've seen and people all working together.
Any one of the actors that are portrayed as driving the car, anytime that you see that in the movie, they're actually going around the track pretty close to the speed that they should be going.
Neill's approach was, if I put them in a speeding car at 140 miles an hour, you're going to get that real guttural reaction from them, and you're going to feel the G-forces.
The pod vehicle, which is designed for interior photography, all of the driving equipment is moved to the roof. So your stunt driver is above the performer, and then the performer is basically holding essentially a fake steering wheel with fake pedals, and the cabin is not in control of the car.
We're actually on the track in real time, doing the real choreography of the race. So everything feels very, very real.
We did build what I believe are the fastest driving pods ever built. These cars travel close to 140 miles an hour. Stunt drivers who are driving those pods so that our actors can give real-life performances at high speed.
Jack, they're boxing me in!
It's pretty extraordinary.
It makes the film all the more special and all the more fun because you know that what you're watching is real.
Right, here we go, guys. Everybody clear pictures.
The real Jan Mardenborough has actually joined the company as a stunt driver and has been driving both the GT3 race car, the Nissan race car, as well as the Nissan LMP car. He's an outstanding race car driver, but he also turns out to be an outstanding stunt driver.
Archie portrays him, and he's the stunt driver that drives Archie's car as Jan. It's like some very interesting meta thing happening there.
It is very weird to say that I'm playing myself as a stunt driver. There's been days where it's been a lot to take in, just seeing the scale of everything, the attention to detail.
Stand by to rehearse, please.
His first day of work, we had literally 1,000 extras and all these race cars all lined up with the pit crews, the race car drivers. He was amazed and flattered and kind of blown away by the resources being brought to bear to tell his story.
The shooting process of just the race, I think, was 3 weeks. So you're doing that multiple times, multiple days. It must be pretty crazy to be on set on a film where everything is there based on your life, which is very cool to have been able to bring that into reality.
There's so much going on, and no lap is the same as the previous lap.
I'll need to be watching all the cars overtaking us. We'll have potentially 15 cars blasting by us, and then we'll have to catch them up.
Watch your speed.
You got to be in the right place at the right time. If you're off by a split second, everything is off.
Have another lap. Send them again.
It's just knowing what's coming up and just being not reactive. You have to be proactive. And then you add in cars around you.
Overtakes, laser focus, finish line.
It's sensory overload.
What is it about racing that you love so much?
We did some stuff in this movie that was really crazy.
Adios!
When we were making this film, we were very committed to people having a very intense experience.
Come on, get in the fight!
Everything is so high stakes constantly.
All these people with all these cameras, it's pretty crazy. It's very surreal. I'm loving it.
Ever since I was a kid, I've just been into cars. The mechanics and design, art, and engineering.
We bought a fleet of race cars. We've learned so much about the differences between various classes of racing cars.
I love cars.
From day one, Neill has said that the people that are going to come out and see this movie will tell if we've cheated. And buying real GT cars, it was a little bit of a challenge just in the budget to figure out what we could afford. These cars require constant maintenance. So putting together a team of qualified mechanics and qualified technicians and computer people that can deal with these cars every day and keep us on the track has been remarkable.
The movie's sort of broken into several categories with cars.
We start at the GT Academy with one class of cars.
GT Academy is where the kids learn how to actually drive. And in this scenario, I was adamant that they were Nissan GTRs, where in reality, they were actually Nissan 350Zs, which to me are not as interesting as GTRs. So in this movie, they're all GTRs. And the performance division of Nissan is called Nismo. And so the Nismo GTR is the pinnacle road-going version of the car. So that's what the kids were learning on.
And we move into cars that are known as GT3s, and there's a whole GT3 racing circuit.
His first race is the FIA GT3 certified category of racing, which is road cars that you would recognize modified for racing. So GT3s would include Lamborghinis, everything that visually you're used to as sports cars, and one of those is a Nismo GTR, obviously heavily modified.
These GT3 cars are actually purpose-built for racing. The shell looks like the road car, but underneath looks nothing like you'd drive on the road. There's roll cages, obviously. and there's no extra seat in the car. So even though it's got space for two, there's only one driver in that car at any time.
To some degree, the chassis and the structure beneath the familiar lines of the exterior of the car are actually engineered from the ground up as race cars. So the audience will see the road-going GTR that they train in, then they see the GT3, in Jan's case, GTR. And then there's a whole bunch of other GT3 cars that are just appealing. We have the amazing Ford GT, which is incredible. Kappa, the villain, is driving a Lamborghini Huracan, and the Huracan GT3 is obviously modified.
It's got a lot of grip, very low center of gravity, incredible braking performance, even more so than some of the other cars.
We have an Aston Martin that's pretty awesome.
Then we move on to cars that look like they're sort of similar to Formula One looking cars, but they may look a little more like spaceships. And these are the LMPs. Those cars go, over 200 miles per hour and are extremely nimble in the corners. And also when they race for a 24-hour period, there's a lot of miles put on them over that period of time. So they're both workhorses and lightning fast.
In the third act, you have GT3s competing against LMPs, and then you have LMP1s, which are open prototypes. There's very few restrictions placed on those. So LMP1 is insanely high performance, then LMP2, which is almost double the speed of the GT3 cars, and then at the lower category, you have GT3. So in real life and also in the movie, Jan is competing in LMP2. And those look like proper custom-built race cars. I mean, their only purpose is to race.
We would get notifications when cars have arrived, and we would all run downstairs to the picture car warehouse and just stare at these cars and these amazing machines that we've put together. Neill fought tooth and nail to make sure that we had the right cars.
The cars in the film are incredible.